All right, happy Saturday. It's Saturday morning drop time here on The Balance. It's raining here at the Balance Studios, high atop the Balance Studios in the west suburbs of Indianapolis. But that's okay. We can deal with a little rain. It's supposed to be a hot week next week here, so we'll take the rain while we can get it. But joining us now, we have come full circle. We are about ready to start NFL in August 6th, I believe, is the first preseason game against the Panthers and the Cardinals. So that's just coming up right around the corner, just a few short weeks. So what a better time than to have our official NFL expert and contributor, Ed Kracz, beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles and SI.com. Happy Saturday to you. Welcome back. I hope you've had a good offseason. It's going to come to an end soon here, sir.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to be back and heard. It's been a great summer so far. And I'll tell you, this little break that the NFL is on seems like it's been going for quite some time. And
it does, doesn't it?
Camps are opening late this year, at least I know the Eagles don't report until July 28th. And I think, right around then is when most teams have to be in camp. So
I think that's actually the same day as the Colts, if I read it. Which I'll check on that in a minute. But
and you figure I know for the Eagles, their last day of mini camp was, I believe, June 10th. Mm-hmm. So you're looking at, a good 7-week stretch here, which, coaches usually hate this time of year because this is when players tend to get in trouble. A lot of downtime. And, we've seen it in a couple instances with players running afoul of the law. I'm sure we'll get into a little of that. Terry and Arnold being the big one, obviously, with what happened with him. But so coaches and GMs hate this long stretch of time because it's too much idle time for some of these players.
What's they say? Idle minds is the
work of the devil or something.
Something like devil's hands, or
I don't know what it is, to be honest.
There's something my grandma used to always say.
Idle time is the devil's time, or I don't know.
Something to do with the devil, and But you brought it up. Detroit Lions carrying Terry and Arnold kidnapping and armed robbery, and then you got the linebacker Jonathan Cooper, domestic violence, of course, domestic violence, not necessarily with him, but that just seems to be what the NFL just cannot get away from. Right. And the Packers, Josh Jacobs, felony strangulation. At what point do you strangle someone and it goes from being a misdemeanor or whatever to a felony? And of course, Nolan Smith with the Eagles there. Reckless driving charge there. Yeah, you're right. We were going to talk about had the list of them all. So let's condense them all into one. We'll start with your backyard, Nolan Smith, and let's go through each of these and kind of discuss for what it's worth. Go ahead.
Yeah, Nolan with doing, I think it was like 120 in a 60-mile-an-hour zone, in his sports car. Now, listen, I will say, and I'm not defending Nolan Smith, but these new cars you can buy. I mean, you can hit. And I speak from a little experience here. I have a 2025 vehicle, and you can do 100 on the turnpike or the highway, whatever, and it doesn't feel like you're doing 100. If your windows are up and the radio's on and the, and the air's blasting, the air conditioning, you feel like you're doing like 70. And it's like, oh my goodness, I better back it off a little bit here. But it's easy to reach speeds like that. Now that's not condoning. Obviously, 120 is well above the 100-mile-an-hour mark. I've never done 120 in anything probably but an airplane. And of course, you don't feel it in an airplane. But, he's got a trial date July 14th here, so it's this week. But it will probably just come down to him paying a fine. I don't even think he has to show up. I'm not even sure he's contesting it. Mm-hmm. I don't think there will be any suspension from the NFL or the Eagles compared to what some of these other players that you mentioned have done that probably warrant a suspension of some sort. But I think Nolan Smith is, not to, make light of it or anything, but I don't think it's anything to, to get your panties in a twist, if you will.
I have gone over 100 miles an hour in a vehicle, but it was a couple times that I got to ride in the pace car at the Indianapolis 500. So that's a completely different. And I wasn't the one actually driving.
Yeah, I was going to say you're a speed guy. I'm sure you probably hit astronomical numbers. You need to go to the Bonneville Salt Flats
Oh
And
man, I've heard about that.
I
Yes.
know. I saw pictures. A friend of mine went there and put pictures up, and boy, what a great looking place. It looks like the moon. It's just
Yeah,
all
it's like a
flat.
desert area. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all salt. And
Yeah, it used to be a testing area for the military.
right.
So,
Where
yeah.
Chuck Yeager was reaching, breaking land speed records, I think. So yeah.
Absolutely. But seriously, on the serious side, we I just went through a litany of charges, and one that stands out to me more than anything, and insert name here. I do not understand, and I'm married. I understand people get mad, but I just don't understand. And you've been married for a good number of years, but I just, my parents were married for 50 some odd years. Sorry. Um, and I never once saw that in my household. I just
Yeah.
don't get it. And it's a scar, or it's not just the NFL, but it's heavy in the NFL when it comes to um, domestic violence. And they've had such a problem with that, reining it in, suspensions, pay cuts, removal from teams, what have you. They've tried it all. And you hate to just make accusations blindly, but there's got to be a reason that it keeps happening. Any thoughts before we move on to a more brighter subject?
Yeah, I wish I had the answer, but maybe it's just like you mentioned, the upbringing, I think, is a big part of it. You were never witnessed anything in your home with your parents, nor was I. And, I'm sure hundreds of thousands of others, but I'm sure that some of these players probably saw it from a young age. And, you are what you're made to be, I guess, with your upbringing. So that's probably a big part of it. But, we're seeing it. It seems like we've seen it a lot more than what we probably should. And even outside the NFL, I know, a college wrestler who I was a big fan of, AJ Ferrari, he's in some legal trouble now with beating a pregnant woman, probably his girlfriend, and imprisoning her. And my God, it's just a horror story. So this stuff goes on in all walks of life. People we don't even know, maybe our neighbors, maybe people we pass on the highway in a car. You just don't know, but it's troubling. And the Terry and Arnold situation, of course, boy, the Lions really came down hard on him, and they just cut him like 2 days after the allegations happened. And now I hear, his agent is the same agent that represents Jalen Hurts, and she's saying that within 45 days, there's a team that's going to sign him. And one of the teams on that list was the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I saw that. It makes no sense, and we'll see if that actually happens, because Carly Gordon, and I always chuckle when I say her name because for some reason she wants to be called by her full name.
Yeah.
But she just is. She put out the banner, "No nonsense. We don't want it on our team." If she brings him to the Colts, I've heard that discussed. I don't know that it's going to happen, but it looks to me like, okay, now she's going to have to backpedal from what she said. So that it is what it is. But here we go, buddy. July 10th. 11th. Sorry. I'm sorry. Until Friday, whatever day it is. July 11th. Sorry.
Yeah.
Meaning most of the sports world is discussing the World Cup. I mean, how about the USA?
Yeah.
They just screwed the pooch, as they say.
Well,
And Spain and Belgium last night had a good matchup, and Spain's moving on to the quarterfinals. But any thoughts on the World Cup? That's the other football.
Yeah, I don't really understand the game. To me, it's almost like watching an NBA game where you can just tune in for the final quarter or, whatever, 15, 20 minutes of the game. Same with the World Cup. The first half, they're just kind of feeling each other out, trying to come up with strategies, trying to find a weakness. But it's really the second half when those games start to really pick up in intensity. So, but I've enjoyed what they've been on in my house for, most of the matches. And, even though it starts to look the same for a while, passing it around on the perimeter, waiting for some guy to make a full sprint toward the goal and trying to stay on sides. It's been fun. And the U.S., I mean, I don't think we'll ever be as good as some of these countries because they just don't get the best athletes.
Right.
They're doing other sports where you can make more money if you're that athletically gifted. You can go into more of a mainstream sport, whereas in these other countries like Spain and France, which is going to be a great semifinal, They're getting the best athletes in their country to play that sport.
Yeah, and our friend Adam, who does our college football with us, is a big soccer fan, and we did a couple segments of around the World Cup, and especially when the U.S. was in it. And like he said on this very show, that the U.S. has every opportunity to show the world that they're the best in the world. Well, it didn't happen, and so you wonder what's next for them.
Yeah. I'm
So
not optimistic that we'll ever. I mean, and it's interesting because the women, they've won, I think, 4 World Cups. So, but there weren't as many athletic opportunities for women in the past as there seem to be now. Colleges are bringing in wrestling. You see more women wrestling. So, they're getting the best athletes. I don't think the men are. And I'm not sure we ever will become, that final 8 or final 4 type of team that, especially with so many of these countries that are just so, soccer runs through their blood, and it just doesn't here.
Yeah. Well, we got another football that runs through our blood, and it's going to be returning in full force for all the training camps at the end of the month. I know we talked off mic that the Eagles are coming soon at the end of the week, end of the month, and so are the Colts. With that in mind, we've had a crossover headline. I talked about this just a few minutes with you offline. Is NBA superstar LeBron James announced last month that he will not return to the Los Angeles Lakers, setting off a string of queries. You love it when queries get a string about the possibility of 41-year-old could join 41. We were wondering what his age was. It's 40. He's 41.
Okay.
And could join any of the other 29 clubs, whatever it is. And as rumor has it, as they say, has suggested that Cleveland Cavaliers, Golden State Warriors, and Philadelphia 76ers are the favorites to land of all time. And the 76ers entering chat led the buzz and blah, 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 brotherly love. But Saquon Barkley was asked for his pitch to LeBron to join in Philly. And he said, I think it's one of the greatest sports towns in the world. That's what Barkley told NBC Philadelphia. I know New York Knicks, Josh Hart said the opposite. I saw that today on Twitter, but I disagree with him. If you want to go out with a bang, I feel like a great spot to be is in Philly, and bringing a championship to Philadelphia, you would be remembered forever. He knows a little something about the city of brotherly love, and they've shown him a lot of love. So why not? Saquon Barkley, if he says come to Cleveland, by golly, come to Cleveland. Come to Philly, sorry. He's already been to Cleveland.
Right. And I hear Cleveland's not in the mix anymore. I saw a report that, and I don't know how true this is. This is just all speculation. But, right. Cleveland, certainly, that's where he began his career. He grew up in Ohio. Why not finish your career there? But he wants to go out as a champion. So, we'll see. I mean, I think the Miami Heat might be in play if he joins Giannis. I don't know. I still don't know how to say his last name, but who I'm talking about, Giannis from the Milwaukee Bucks, who's in Miami now. I mean, he's one of the top 5 players, I think, in the NBA. I mean, if you put those two together, and maybe the Heat have the makings of a championship team. Philly, Saquon's right. I mean, I've lived in Philly most of my life. I've moved away for several years during the course of my life, but I was born here, and I used to follow the Flyers. They were the first team I grew up watching as a young kid when they were winning Stanley Cups 50 plus years ago. They haven't won since, but those players on that team, they were revered here. Bernie Parent, the goalie, he just passed away. He was a god in this town. A lot of those players, Bobby Clark, you can go on down the list, but those guys were never, ever forgotten, and they were pillars in the community. And, more recent times, you had the Eagles win the Super Bowl in 2017, and then 2 years ago they won it. And those players, they'll be remembered forever. Brandon Graham, those types of players. So, yeah, that's a real thing. Those players, they can do no wrong once they've delivered a championship to this city. So Saquon's right, but I'm not sure the Sixers are ready. They got Jaylen Brown from the Celtics in the trade.
Yeah.
And apparently him and LeBron are good friends. I didn't know that, but Jaylen's putting the hard squeeze on him, and maybe LeBron would help put them over the top. I don't know, but I don't expect this story to resolve itself anytime soon. I think LeBron's going to take this as far as he can, and before he makes a decision where he's going to finish his career.
Well, he's waiting to hear from Jason Kelsey. He's just waiting to hear from Jason Kelsey. Ah,
Well, I hope it's not Travis because she's on his honeymoon somewhere with Taylor
boy,
Swift.
my daughter listens to this show from time to time. So, but I love Taylor Swift, and through her, I've had so much fun following the Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift stuff. But this wedding, my God, it drove me insane. It was just all right. Get married already. Who gives a flying fart?
But did you see what Charles Barkley said? He was invited and he politely declined. And I love Charles Barkley. But he politely declined. He said, "I just want to hang out and play golf." He goes, "I didn't want to have to put a suit on." It was funny. He didn't want anything to do with it. But he was polite about it. He appreciated the invitation.
Well, you've been to Madison Square Garden many times. Can you imagine renting out that entire building for a wedding? Millions,
No.
I'm sure it was what it cost.
Oh, I'm sure, and they have it. It's not like they don't have it. Yeah, so what the heck? Why not? Listen. I don't. It's not a very intimate venue. I'll tell you that. I've sat up in some pretty high seats in that place for concerts and basketball games with the Knicks. But I
guess the guests weren't allowed to bring in phones, and
right.
They were very like. Once you're in, you're not going to be able to take what you see out. But I've heard it was just an amazing place. Well, let's get into it. We've got some X's and O's to talk about. The Eagles, going back to June, the Eagles agreed to trade wide receiver A.J. Brown to the Patriots in a huge blockbuster deal. We haven't really had a chance, you and I, to talk about the winners and losers of that. A lot of people, especially when it comes to A.J. Brown and all his diva BS, is probably glad that he's gone away and taken it to New England. But from the aspects of on the field, he's one of the top-notch players. And when you look at trading a player, that's really what you got to look at. So in his 4 seasons, he was a 3-time captain who helped the Eagles capture the Lombardi Trophy, as we just mentioned, and the impact that has on a fan base. But A.J. Brown over to the Patriots. You guys move forward without him. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise. But what are your thoughts overall on that?
Yeah, I think, they had to get rid of him. He didn't want to be here. I know Howie Roseman would rather have not traded him, but AJ didn't want to be here. And he showed that in his play last year. I watched the Eagles very closely. Obviously, I'm at their games. And he dropped passes. He dropped the ball out in Los Angeles against the Chargers that probably would have won the game in the end zone from 40 yards. Just dropped it. He had trouble with drops. He wasn't focused. He wasn't into being with the Eagles anymore. And everybody says, oh, he was a great teammate. And yeah, he was for the first 3 years. But I talked to players in that locker room who, raised some eyebrows about how AJ was handling himself with the whole situation. I get he was unhappy with the offense. Him and Jalen Hurts didn't see eye to eye anymore. The Eagles don't like Jalen to take chances with the football, so they don't want him to put it in harm's way. And AJ wants to go up and make a play, no matter how closely he's guarded, but the offense just doesn't allow that to happen. So I think it's a good trade for the Eagles, and I think it's a great trade for the Patriots. I mean, they're getting, I think, a receiver who, even though his yardage numbers from his first year here in Philly, when he set the season record for most yards receiving in a year, with almost 1,500 of them, his numbers have declined each of the last 4 years. He was barely over 1,000 yards last year. So, he's 30. He's going to be 30 years old here. I think he's 29 now. But I think he's really going to be motivated. And I think he's got a quarterback in Drake May and an offense, with Mike Vrabel in charge that will lend itself to taking advantage of his skill set. And he's going to have a great year. I really think he is. Now, how long he can still be productive, we'll see. But the Eagles ended up getting a first-round draft pick in 2028, which I don't mind that at all. They traded Hassan Reddick after the 23 season for a 3rd-round pick of the Jets in this past draft, 2026. So they had to wait 2 years on that deal, and they ended up taking the offensive tackle from Miami, Markel Bell, a 6'9", 350-pound tackle who I think will be eventually the right tackle on this team when Lane Johnson leaves, and probably the top swing tackle this season. So, waiting isn't a bad thing. And they also got a third round pick in next year's draft. So they got what they could. And I think it's good for both parties that he's, with New England and not Philadelphia now.
Well, he's certainly one of the top 100 players in the league, and that's definitely for sure. Let's talk a little bit about the Colts. The Colts, Daniel Jones. I mean, looks like he's going to be the quarterback for the Colts. Anything in the Colts world that stands out? Let's just kind of go through the teams the best we can here and just kind of get a pre-look. Obviously, we'll know a lot more when training camp opens up, and those players who decide not to come to training camp and those who decide to come to training camp, we're going to see how that plays out. Is there any layovers or holdovers as they call? But what are your thoughts on the Colts?
Well, you hope Daniel Jones is ready to go from the Achilles. The tear that he had last year. I guess all signs point that he will be. I don't know how much he participated in the spring work, but like you said, when training camp starts, we'll learn more about Jones and how that Achilles rehab has gone for him. But yeah, that's really, it all starts with the quarterback, right? So you hope that they bring back Indiana Jones, who in the first 8 games last year was on fire and had the Colts looking like, definitely a playoff team and a team that could make noise in the postseason. And then the unfortunate injury happened. So, hopefully he comes back and he's what he was last year. It might take a little time. You might have to be a little patient with him. But, having him under center, I think, is what the Colts really need to have a successful season. And, they brought back Alec Pierce for him, I think, right, on a really big contract, which kind of raised some eyebrows, the money that Alec Pierce was given. But, a receiver needs weapons, and, he is certainly one. And then they have the tight end, Tyler Warren, who is phenomenal, maybe a little underutilized late last season because of the quarterback situation. But I expect him to have a really strong year in year 2. And, I think the Colts have a really good shot at being a playoff team. And I know it's only July here, early July, but I like, some of the things that they've done. Sauce Gardner got hurt. He should be back and ready to go. I guess you wonder if they have enough of a pass rush and how that or offensive line is going to hold up. But those are questions that a lot of teams have. So, we'll see how it all plays out for him. I didn't like him not making an offer for Moore. I'm talking about, right? Moore,
yeah.
His first name escapes me, but I really like him, and I know he's still a free agent. I know the Eagles don't need someone like him. Kenny Moore, I think.
Kenny Moore, you're right.
Yeah.
Right.
I really like him. I had a chance to meet him at Devontae Smith's softball game last summer. Great guy to talk to. Really exuded a lot of leadership qualities. So I hate losing a guy like that if I'm the Colts, but I guess I understand it. And it's the kind of guy you wish your team would pick up because of the type of person he is. So we'll see where he lands. But I didn't like that move for the Colts. But I think they have enough to overcome that. And we mentioned Terry and Arnold. Who knows? Maybe Terry and Arnold is signed and he escapes a suspension, can stay out of jail. I mean, those are really real life issues for him. But yeah, I think the Colts have enough in the secondary. It's just pass rush and offensive line. We'll see how that stuff holds up.
Well, let's kind of rapid fire go through. We got about 5 more minutes here, and let's just kind of rapid fire some of these teams here that we really talked about at the end of 2026. I think one of the biggest names come to mind is Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. And then had a devastating visit there in Denver. It just everything fell apart for the Bills, as it always does at the end of the year. But what are your thoughts about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, I mean, he's, one of the greatest quarterbacks in the game, and yet, what has he won? Not much. I mean, it always seems like the Chiefs were in the road, but last year it was the Broncos that were in the road, and he couldn't get by them. And now they have a new head coach. They moved on from Sean McDermott. We'll see if the coach was the missing link. I don't think so. I think the Colts are still going to be a bridesmaid type of team. I'm not sure, again, the weaponry around Josh Allen. He's another year older. I'm sure he's still going to be very effective with his legs, but eventually that skill set erodes, and I think we've seen it a little with Jalen Hurts. As the older you get, the younger the guys coming into the league get. They're faster than you. You had a lot of wear and tear, so we'll see. I just don't think the Bills are, and I love the Bills. I spent time over the 4th of July in Western New York, and
sure,
they were surrounded by Bills fans and talking to them, and nice bunch of people. Not happy with their new stadium, the prices they're charging to get into that building.
Oh, I saw the uproar about that.
Yeah. So, but listen, I just don't see the Bills being that team again this year, with or without Josh Allen.
Let's talk about your favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Owner Jerry Jones has repeatedly said that he would write an embarrassing check to win another Super Bowl, basically saying, hey, I'll buy the Super Bowl if that's what it needs to happen. Yet he never does. Since 2013, the Cowboys have not participated in the first wave of free agency. So despite Jones's vow to bust the budget in 2026 offseason, the Cowboys again stood and let free agency basically pass them by. So their signings were highly underwhelming. So I don't know that Jerry Jones is willing to do whatever it takes to win a Super Bowl. The Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones, what say you, sir?
I think he needs the names and addresses of the officials if he wants to spend some money. Put those guys in his back pocket and get a few calls. And this day and age, man, with betting the way it is, you just never know.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think obviously that's going to happen. I'm just kidding. But I liked what the Cowboys kind of did this offseason. I like how they acquired Rashawn Gary from the Packers, kind of a pass rusher. They've been kind of digging themselves out of that trade of Micah Parsons to the Packers. So, they're looking for pass rush, but they have Quinnen Williams still. Their offense, there's no arguing their offense, one of the best in the league. George Pickens, I think, signed his offer sheet that he got as a franchise tag. We'll see how he commits this year. With an injury could potentially, really hurt him in the contract situation the following year. So we'll see how invested he is. But that offense is really, really good, and it's the defense that's always been a question. And I think they did some things to improve it. I love the draft pick of Caleb Downs out of Ohio State. He's really going to help that defense, and I like Rashawn Gary. So I think the Cowboys and the Eagles, I think, are probably your two best bets to win the NFC East. And then you can't lose sight of the Giants too, with John Harbaugh coming in to take over. Yep. They did some nice things with the draft and in free agency. So I think it's going to be a wide open NFC East, but I'd put the Cowboys right up there as one of the teams that could potentially win it.
One final team here after 3 straight last place finishes. The Bears. Hired Ben Johnson as their head coach in 2025. He proceeded to turn them into a championship contender for the first season. Johnson was named an NFL Coach of the Year after the finalists in Chicago claimed its first NFC North title since 2018 and the first playoff since 2010. That's all fine and dandy, but we got us a little distraction going on with the Bears. There's a high probability they'll end up. It's really just across the bridge. Let's not overthink it. It's still the Chicago metro area, but it's on the Indiana side. A very good possibility. Although I saw that, I think that it says South side. I don't know one side from another, other than I know the White Sox, I believe, are on the north side. I don't know, but it's not a good area of town. But I believe they said the south part of Chicago has it. A spot, and then they could probably build a new stadium, keep them in Chicago, technically keep them in Chicago, but all the Dots and Brinks Cup truck has been backed up from Indiana. Our governor here in Indiana has promised them the world as far as tax breaks. Right now, it looks like that everything is a go for them to move over to Highland, Indiana. Again, part of the Chicago area, still in the marketplace. They can get on the train for 10 minutes. And the Sox are on the south side of town. Thank you, Melissa. My behind the scenes fact checker,
Yeah,
but
we all need one. We all need one.
So she lived there for a bit too, which is not something. A great place city to visit, but not to. So that said, we've got a great infrastructure in place as far as the team for the Bears go, for them to go deep and do well in 2026. But you do have this distraction of the Indiana part of things. What are your thoughts? And then we've got to wrap it up, put a bow on it.
Yeah, well, listen, other teams that play outside their city that they're named after, the San Francisco 49ers play, 45 minutes or so outside of San Francisco. They're not even in San Francisco. And of course, the Jets and the Giants don't play in New York. They play in North Jersey. So,
Yeah.
Obviously not the first time, and they would still be named Chicago. They wouldn't change them to, Highland Park Bears or the Indiana Bears. Although I like the sound of the Indiana Bears.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Like the sound of anything Indiana, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, as far as the on the field stuff goes, it's all dependent on Caleb Williams. The coach did a great job with him last year, getting him to buy in and work hard and believe in himself. He's got a lot of confidence. And the Bears were one of those upstart teams last year that really threatened to go to the Super Bowl. So, you wonder, there's always teams that take a step back in the NFL. That's the beauty of it. It's not like baseball where you have your top heavy teams that year in and year out, like the Dodgers or Yankees. They're always good. In the NFL, teams go up and down pretty regularly. So they could be a candidate for a step down, or they could be a candidate to step up and finish a job and get to the Super Bowl. I like their offense. I think Luther Burden, the rookie from last year, I think he's going to step up at receiver. They have Colston Loveland, another really good tight end like Ty Warren. Went before Ty Warren in the draft, doing the Colts a huge favor because I love Ty Warren. And their defense, I guess that's the big question mark. Do they have enough on defense, especially, rushing the passer? Again, like the Colts and like a lot of teams, you wonder about that, and you wonder about their offensive line. They lost their player, Ozzie Trapillo, last year to a serious injury. I don't know how he's tracking to return, but this is a team I think they could go either way. They could take a step up, get to the championship game, and roll the dice from there. They could take a step back, and it's a tough division. The Packers are in there. Obviously, the Lions, the Bears, and it's a tough division. So they could be a step up or step down candidate to me, but it's going to be, fascinating to watch which way they go.
And we'll definitely see how it plays out. And of course, we're wrapping up the preseason. July 21st looks like most rookies to report, and then most camps are starting in and around the 28th. So you got about another week and a half, sir, of your vacation. Just like Melissa, she's a school teacher. She goes back at the end of the month as well. So enjoy that part of it. So it's time for our pop culture, really quick conversation. You and I sometimes exchange shows to watch. First of all, let me ask you this qualifying question. Did you ever watch Game of Thrones?
No, I have not.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe then you'll may not have much of an input on it. So the Game of Thrones, in my opinion, was, and I don't really watch those Knights and Shining Armor, all of those movies, but I got into the Game of Thrones, and I was disappointed with the end of it, but that's neither here nor there. So there's a spinoff, which is the prequel of Game of Thrones, called The House of Dragons. There's also a middle one. It's kind of a comedy, actually. You should watch it just for the fun of it. Is the Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So there's The House of Dragons, which Melissa and I binged. So she had never seen Game of Thrones. So over the last couple of weeks, she has been binging Game of Thrones. So she's finishing up season 3. It really starts getting good after season 4. But The House of Dragons is one that I would highly recommend that you watch. Even if you've never watched Game of Thrones, it's the pre-story of Game of Thrones. So if anything, you want to watch The House of Dragons, then watch the Game of Thrones. So my question to you was, have you seen The House of Dragons, sir?
No, I have not. I see it pop up on my guide when I'm looking around for something to watch, but I've never tuned into it. But yeah, I mean, maybe I will. I know, like you said, I only have a couple weeks left here before things ramp up again. But you never know. Maybe I'll jump into it. Yeah, I almost dived into West Wing. Have you ever seen the West Wing?
Oh yeah, we've watched every one of the West Wings, every single episode.
That's a huge investment, though. There's 12 seasons, if not more.
Melissa watched
20 episodes each. And
Melissa watches that even over again. Yeah. So yes, that's a good show. Yeah, that's a great show. Great show.
almost clicked into it the other day. I'm like, yeah, let's see what this is all about. I like Martin. Is it Martin Sheen? One of the Sheens.
Yes, it's Martin Sheen.
Yeah, I
He's the
like.
president.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, man, maybe I'll have to check that out. But I don't know. I look at it; just seems so overwhelming. It took me a couple years to get through Breaking Bad, which I'm sure you've seen that. And
I have never. I'm the only one in the
oh
world
my
I think has never seen Breaking Bad.
well,
I've
it
seen
was
episodes of it.
me. You
West
were
Wing, West Wing is well worth it.
yeah.
It is smart. It is funny. It is well written. Now, when it hits about season 5, you're like, are you kidding me? Because Aaron Sorkin left, but then he comes back at the end.
So
So,
here's another
Okay.
thing,
All
Ed.
right.
There's a new show that it's season 2, season 3. Melissa, what is that show that we watch? It's on Netflix. It's the Diplomat. The Diplomat.
Great,
that's
great
amazing.
series.
So
Yeah.
go without going into too much detail of it. There's a lot of characters that appear that were in West Wing that appear in the Diplomat.
Yeah. I'm all over the Diplomat. I was on it from the
I
the
love that
day it
show.
came. Yeah, it's a great show.
I
And
am waiting for it to come back.
I love Kerry Russell. I think she's tremendous.
Yes.
And I love Matthew Reese. Did you ever see The Americans?
I saw parts of it. Yes.
What a great series that is with Matt Reese and Kerry Russell. Now, speaking of Matt Reese, this is what we watch: Widow's Bay.
I haven't seen that. I've heard of it.
Oh my gosh, it's great. You'll love it. It's funny. It's a horror. It's got horror to it. It's kind of it spoofs other horror shows, like I guess
Scream.
Halloween and
Halloween. Yeah, I've seen that.
different. But it's really really good. And
I think we might start watching that.
It's
real quickly here. I've got to ask you, Dutton Ranch. Have you started that? Did you watch Yellowstone at all?
Yeah, watch Yellowstone, and I saw the first couple episodes of the Dutton Ranch, and with Rip.
Gotta get caught up, my brother.
And Beth taking over the whole thing there, and
oh yeah.
Yeah, I know. I like the first two episodes.
And Annette Bening's in it. She's amazing.
Yeah, I know. Right. I noticed that. Yeah, she's great. I love her, man. She was great in that movie. Was it Dave?
Yes.
Yeah,
she was in Dave.
Yeah, she's a really good actress. Really underrated. But yeah, I noticed she was in
not Dave. It was American President.
That's what it is. American President. Yeah, Dave was
Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, yes. That's a good one too, with the other actor. Kevin Kline.
Yes.
But no, I do like Annette Bening. She looked really old, I thought, which that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I'm old.
We all get old. We all get old.
Yeah.
I think they might have aged her a little.
Okay.
So real quickly, and we've got to wrap it up here. On the Dutton Ranch, the drink of choice is Coors Banquet. So when we went to Missouri, I picked up a 12-pack of Coors Banquet, and me and my son-in-law drank Coors Banquet in the honor of the Dutton Ranch.
Yeah.
Ed Kracz, beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles and our official NFL contributor and pop culture contributor, joins us as we begin our conversations about the NFL. And it's only going to be a few short weeks, actually, before we get into the season. Ed, where can people find your work and masterpieces and follow you along in the off season?
Yeah, it's kind of been slow. I haven't been doing a whole lot, but once things gear up, you can hit me up on the X platform, Kratze, Kracze. I enjoy this talk about shows to watch. Maybe I'll start tweeting out some shows.
I love it. We'll do it.
Being in Missouri, I'm sure you've seen Ozark, right?
Yeah,
I love
Ozark.
Of course. Yeah, that's a Missouri-based show, right?
Yeah.
Aren't they down there on some lake in Missouri?
Yeah, it's close to Branson, but yeah.
Yeah. Great series.
So great series. Also, for those that don't know, our YouTubers, all of our episodes ever, all the way back since we started the show, are all now completely archived on YouTube. We've completely merged onto that platform. You can still get the podcast wherever you get anything else, but there's some extras there for you on the YouTube channel. I have been known, because I'm a world famous chef, I have been known to start putting some quick shorts on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I even started a little opinion thing that I haven't worked on too much. Is called In My Shorts. But nonetheless, those are all fun stuff. And maybe sometime, Ed, during the season, we can do a YouTube special episode where we're on YouTube. We do have the capability of doing that. There's some kinks that we have to do to get the live part over to YouTube, but we're working that out. But
All right.
nonetheless, we have moved over to the YouTube platform. We
All
are
right.
so check it out. And then at the bottom where all the videos are, you'll see my little cooking videos, and for what it's worth. So The Balance on YouTube. Check it out, like and subscribe. Ed Kracz, where can people find your working masterpieces?
Yeah, at Kratze on the X platform, KRACZE. You can find some stuff I'm doing. Maybe I'll put some shows up. I don't have Inside Ed's Shorts or whatever your thing is. I mean, you never know.
I don't think anybody wants to be in Ed's shorts. I don't think anybody wants to be in my shorts either. All right, buddy.
All
We
right.
appreciate you. We look forward to talking to you through the season.
You got it. See ya.
Thank you.